All right, you made it through week one, and now we're into week two. So, as you'll see here, with the base training for the first few weeks, especially, it's going to be a lot of the same stuff. And I know that it might feel a little bit boring at first, but here's what you want to think about. When you're doing base training, you're working out underneath your threshold. And while it feels easy, I like to always explain to my athletes that you're basically making structural changes at this level, right? So you're building a better infrastructure, which is your body's internal stuff, to build on going forward. So that's why strength is so important. Aerobic endurance is very important. We want to be doing things and giving the body an opportunity to really exceed later. And so too often people get excited about training and they want to dive in and they get over ambitious and then they get hurt or they get discouraged. And then that's what leads to injury or a lack of training. So while week two is still building on week one, it is still a lot of the same things. So you'll notice things like the strides, for example, that you probably saw in week one, and you'll see them again here in week two. And those are things that help build economy. So basically, you're trying to teach your body and remind it how to move efficiently by doing some very fast stuff, but for such a short period of time that you're not going to really accumulate any real fatigue. So that's where we're finding those things that we call economy drills, such as strides. If you found that last week you were a little bit too conservative with your weights, if you're feeling antsy, go ahead and challenge yourself a little bit more with weights instead of harder workouts right now. Again, because that builds the infrastructure, the bone density, and the muscular strength that you will need later to push yourself and continue to push yourself at faster speeds. So that's what we're going to be doing in week two. You're going to start to see things add up a little bit after a couple more weeks here. If you're feeling like this is not quite enough, you can absolutely add, I always say a rule of thumb, you can add easy biking, you can add swims. You really want to think about and be cautious about adding running though, because that's a weight bearing thing. So you do introduce more opportunities for injury risk. However, if you do want to add a little bit of running, swimming, or biking, just make sure it's aerobic. Please don't add any hard stuff right now because that's really not going to serve you well later. We want to save that so that your body responds to that later. Again, you can move the day off this week to any of the days. There's no conflict here. I'm just looking at the schedule. Later, we can talk about switching out key workouts, but we're not into that yet. So for now, it's pretty straightforward. Let's just keep it building, keep the endurance going, and make sure that you're consistent. That's the best thing that you can be doing.